Hello and welcome. So in this video we will set up Jenkins for Django deployment. If you are not using it, so let's head over and get started. So I have EC2 machine setup. So this is an instance that I just created. So let's log into it. And in this we have to connect via SSH. So when you create a new instance, you will be given SSH key. By the help of that you can connect. So in this connect section in SSH client, just copy paste this. I was provided CER file, so instead of the spam, let's start a new terminal to connect. Here just open, copy paste this, and this is our CER file and not this and non file, because I was given CER file. You might have to run this command to make this be secure, so otherwise it will give open-ended permission error. So let's connect it. So I might not be in the right folder, so first I have to head into downloads and let's start again. Yeah, so now we are in the EC2 instance. So now since we are seen, what we have to do is we have to install the updates. So for that we will use this terminal here. Now on Mac you can do option and double click on the corner. So clear, and let's do it. Sudo apt-get update and Y, so that it will not ask for any confirmation. To update we have to run the upgrade, and there you go. Now Jenkins, to install Jenkins we need Java, because Jenkins is built on Java, so Java is necessary for Jenkins to run. For that we will install Open Jdk. We only need JDK here, so we will do sudo apt-get install Open Jdk, and the version let's take 11 here, and since we have not provided flag Y, so let it happen. And in the meanwhile we can head over to our interface and the VS Code, and what we will do is we will keep so this is our repo, and we will connect this repo with the Nginx. So we will keep all of our Django application in this app folder, since now it is empty. So let's go into it, and before that first we have to create a virtual environment so that I can create a Django application. Okay, so this will be a sample Django application. So let's take it for Python, because I am on Python 3, so Python 3 provide simple venv, and name of the virtual environment will be env. So I'm creating a virtual environment where we will keep our things separated. So now the name of the virtual environment will be env, and now we have this env. Let's activate it by going to source. Inside env we have a bin folder, and there we have activate. And now since our virtual environment has been activated, what we can do is we have to install some of the things. So let's make a requirements.txt file. So we will create a simple file here. So this will be file we will require it, so just bring it outside and not in the environment folder. And here we will need Django and Jenkins for deployment part. So let's take these two things only for now. So we will do pip install our requirements.txt here. So now it will be installing Django as well as Jenkins. So there you go, we are done. You can check it by pip fridge. Yeah, so we have this. Now since our Java has been installed, what we will do is, since we have been connected with our EC2 instance, so next step is to install the Jenkins. And to install the Jenkins you need these 4 steps to be there. So you can first you have to update, then this 2 things to get the repo connected with our Ubuntu, that is Jenkins repo, and then after updating once we can directly install the Jenkins. So here if I do these things, and because I have already installed Jenkins, so I can do this sudo apt-get install Jenkins, and here we have Jenkins already pre-installed. So after following these 4 steps, what we have to do is so all of these things are in initial setup.sh file in the repo. Now our Jenkins have been connected, so we have to start the Jenkins and let's get connected with the Jenkins server. Okay, so we'll do our next step for that only. Now since we have installed the Django, so we have to start Django project. So what we can do is, this will be our sample Django project, so we will do Django admin start project, and here we have Django installed. So let's start a Django sample Django project. So we will do Django admin start project, and let's take the name of the project be app. Okay, so it will create a new folder named app here, and inside it we will have the main directory where settings and ASCII file will be there, and this ASCII file that very important for now, and manage by file is here. So now because we have this thing set up, we will require a new file named gitignore. So let's take a gitignore, and let's bring this file out here, and gitignore Python. So we'll copy paste the Python gitignore, and this, there you go, save. Now this must, the environment things will go on. Yeah, so now we have only the required things here. Now what happens is, we have this thing installed, we have our sample project. So now, and here what we will do is, we will write sudo apt-get once we have to update. So let's do it once, sudo apt-get update, and after that we have to run the daemon. So first for that, sudo system ctl daemon reload, then systemctl start Nginx, because we have already installed the Nginx, I think, or we can just start Jenkins for now, and we can check the status of Jenkins. Yeah, so as you can see, the Jenkins is running, so we can connect to Jenkins 8080. So because this is our instance here, and if I go to this information, the public address is this, so let's copy it and paste it here with 8080 port. So I think because the security is not conferred for the port 8080, we will not be able to connect for this. So let's head over to the instance, and here in the security, what we have to do is, we have to add a inbound rule. Inbound means when we are connecting with the instance, we have to have this one rule, the custom TCP, and the port is 8080. And let's save this from any address, so obviously, yeah. So now we have this setup, and now if I try to reconnect, so now we have this Jenkins running, and we can connect with the Jenkins, as you can see. Now we will require this password, and this is in var file. So there, open the Vim editor, write this, and here we should see it is saying permission denied. Okay, so let's quit it for now. Sudo, because we are at Ubuntu, so we have to do switch user, and again try it. Well, so here is our password, so let's copy it and paste it here. So it will ask like because we need some of the plugins, so yeah, we can directly do the installed plugin to be, you know, the suggested plugin to be installed in our Jenkins. So it will install like Git plugin and other pipeline plugins that we will be needing. We don't need email and all, but I'm just installing it. It's good practice, I guess. So let's quit it for now, and we have to make scripts for our Jenkins to run. In the meanwhile, the packages are getting installed. So first thing we require is environment setup file. Okay, now let's head over and create a new file, and the file name will be environment setup. So let's take it env setup.sh, and this bash script will contain everything that we will require to set up our virtual environment for Python. So let's name it, let's start with the cbang, that is bin bash, and here what we will do is So first we have to check whether our previous virtual environment exists or not. So for that we can do if there is any directory named env, because we are setting up with env, then what we will do is we can echo that yes, this exists, python virtual environment exists. Okay, and otherwise if this is not the case, so we'll do else, and in this case we have to do python 3 and create a new env like we did here in virtual code VS Code as well, and then finishing it. Then we can echo our present directory, so it will be needed later on to check are we in a right folder or not. So, and because we have created our virtual environment, we will activate it by env/bin/activate. Here you go, and then we can install the dependencies. This is normal course of action we follow, and the file will be requirements.txt. there you go. So now we will repeat the same step here for the logs file. Okay, so just copy this thing, and if the directory name logs exist, we can say that log folder exists, else we have to create a log folder. And how we create a new folder? By mkdir logs and then touch the logs error file .logs, and same for logs/access logs. So these two logs will be used by our Nginx. Okay, then there you go. And in the end we have to change the permission of our log file, so we have to modify the permission, and this is recursive if the inside permission as well, and 777 for all groups as well as user, for the owner, for all three we are giving all the permission, executing, reading and writing for the logs. Okay, so this might not be the best setup. Okay, so now env setup finishes. I mean, because what happens is our Jenkins pipeline will be run by the Jenkins user. So for him we are giving this permission so that he can write the log folder. You can modify these two things here, other things, but it is good if you keep this for owner, so that's perfectly fine. And because we need it for the other user, or you can put the Jenkins in kind of a group. Okay, so that's just for this thing. Okay, so this is our environment setup file. So all the dependencies have been installed, I think, and let's name username, let's give it any name. So I'm giving my name here, and address be any dummy address now, because I'm not setting up the email service or etc. here. So I want to keep this Jenkins URL same, and the Jenkins is ready, starting up. So first we have to log in into the Jenkins. Okay, so that's great. Now what happens is, now the Jenkins is ready and we are in this address. Now we have to create a new pipeline here, and the pipeline will be connected with our Git repo. Okay, so let's get started for that. So since this is our environment file setup, and we can check these things since our environment is been set up. So this will be our first step of the pipeline. So for now, because we don't have any pipeline thing as like a file, so first we have to create a pipeline file as well. So what we can do is we can create a new file here, and the name of the file should be Jenkins File, and in this we will create pipeline, and in the first we will tell about the agent, because we are not setting up any node. So this is because simple pipeline, so we can just take agent any. Otherwise you have to you have to give the path of any folder, specific folder you need after setting up the label inside the Jenkins. Okay, so we'll set up these things in our second stage. Then in the stage, and we will have a stage. The first stage will be setting up Python virtual environment. So set up Python virtual environment. Okay, and in this stage we will have some steps. So the steps will be, first we will do, because we have to use the shell script, so change the permission of this is the script that we just created. The name of the script is environment setup.sh, and then we have to so we are making this environment setup.sh as executable, and then we have to run this environment setup.sh, and there the script ends. So there you go. So this is our first stage, actually you can see. Okay, in this stage we are using this file envsh file to be executed after making it executable. Okay, this completes our first stage. Then let's get over to the second stage, and the second stage is regarding Nginx setup. Okay, so we will do setup, Nginx service setup. So Nginx setup, and again we will have some steps here. So steps, and in the steps we will have again a script to run, and the name of the script will be gunicon.sh. so we will create this file as well. So first chmod +x make it gunicon.sh executable, and then we will execute this gunicon.sh file. Okay, and in the end let's finish this script. So this is our second step till here, and the last, as you know, the setting up Nginx. So stage setup Nginx, or like this, and here we will have some steps, and the steps again will be setting up the similar thing. We can copy paste here, and the name of this will be Nginx.sh. okay, there you go. So this is your entire pipeline, okay, of Jenkins. Simple enough. So in this pipeline, as you can see, we have actually stages, and we have 3 stages. First stage to set up the Python virtual environment, that will use environment file. Second is Gunicon setup, that will use Gunicon.sh file, and third is Nginx setup, that will use Nginx file. So these are the 3 stages that we will be using in our Jenkins file. Okay, so you can find this code in the repo. Next we have to make this Gunicon script and Nginx script. So let's make this file first, gunicon.sh, and this Gunicon file is quite simple because this is common that we use to run the Gunicon service. Okay, so first thing is, again, make this file, that bin. So I will recommend not to use as such here, because bash will be recommended here. So use source, and again first activate the virtual environment, because Gunicon is in our virtual environment. Okay, then we have to go to our directory where Jenkins is installed. So for now, what I'm doing is, because by default the Jenkins user will install the things like our requirements, etc., in a particular folder. So for now, what we will do is, we will start this much pipeline so that we can see where our other things are installed, because we have not given any custom folder name in environment setup, or the very important file, the Jenkins file. So then we will create the Gunicon file and Nginx file. Okay, so first we have to check the folder. So that is in varlib, but I want to show it. So first we will commit all of these files. So this is our first CI/CD Jenkins setup commit. Okay, so let's commit this, and now push the changes on Git repo. So this you can find here on Django CI/CD, and here these are our commits. Okay, so we will directly use this file to make the direct connection with the Jenkins. So what we will do is, let's head over to Jenkins, and let's take it here. So we will make a new, you will be in this like this Nginx, add a new item here, and the item name will be Django CI/CD. Okay, Django CI/CD, and here we will create a pipeline. Select the pipeline option, because we will be using this kind of job here, and you can discard the old build. This you can select, and then More thing that is required here is pipeline script, and the pipeline should come from our SCM, source code management, and this SCM will be our Git. Okay, so let's write that pipeline script from SCM, and the SCM will be Git, and the script path will be obviously Jenkins. But before that, what we have to do is we have to set up the repo URL, and the repo URL is, you can copy paste from here, this. Okay, and the credentials. So first, one idea is to use this SSH credential, but I want to keep it simple, so I am using one of my I will create one token here. So let's go to settings and developer setting, and in personal access token, so let's create a personal token here. After going to personal access token, so let's name it for Jenkins, and I want it to be, let's say, 7-day expiry. I will delete it after this video, and it will generate a token. So now just copy paste this token. Okay, so we will copy this token and paste it in our Jenkins. Oh sorry, yeah, here what we will do is we will paste it like this. This token is this and at. So this is one thing that you can do. And now if you see, we have the master file, and master branch name is master, and it is not giving us any error. So let's try to save it. Yeah, it is saved. Save. So we have this pipeline setup here, and if I trigger the build, so what it should do is it should pull our changes from the Git, but what it's saying is it is not finding this master. Why it is not getting master? Because if you go to repo, what happens is the name of the repo is the branch is main and not master. Okay, so we have to change the ref. So again, go to pipeline, go to go to project, go to configure, and here what we can do is in SCM we can make it main. Okay, so let's apply and try it out again. If we again build it, so the build will be triggered, and there you go. And if I see the output, now the error is coming. Okay, so now you can see here that our repo has been pulled out and obtained Jenkins files from this address, and everything is working now. So let's get over to Jenkins file. There is some issue in our Jenkins file, so we'll check it out. So okay, so what I have done here is in the stages we have 3 stages, and we have missed the steps folder here, step section here, so we will require this steps here as well, and this step must be wrapped inside this part. There you go. So now I think this is the right Jenkins file. Fair enough. Again, Jenkins updated, and commit the changes, sync up. And now what pipeline will do is, yeah, there you go. Now our pipeline is running, and it have updated, Jenkins updated, and what it is saying is virtual environment was not created because pip is not available. So we have to install the pip by using this command. So let's copy it, and apt install python 3 venv, so that virtual environment can be installed. And it is saying that we are failing this, and now you can see here this is our location that we will be requiring. Okay, where lib Jenkins workspace. Okay, so this will be required while setting up the gunicon.sh file. So let's get over to gunicon.sh file as well. Now since we have this thing installed, we can run the pipeline again. So go to Jenkins build now. So as you can see here, our virtual environment folder has been created, and it is installing the dependencies as well. Now all of these things are failing because we don't have these scripts, so no such file, but we have our logs folder created, as well as we have our dependencies installed. So this is one step. Though this step have been done, now we will jump to this Gunicon file step. Okay, so for that, let's jump to gunicon.sh file. We have to change the directory, and the directory name in this case will be that we just saw. This is where lib Jenkins workspace and Django CI/CD. So now you can see here, if I go to this directory inside our system, we can see that this folder has been created here, and if I list down the things, we can see here we have a virtual environment folder here, the logs folder that we just created, gunicon.sh file, the params and the other things, okay, that were there in the repo. So if I go to and activating the source env/bin/activate, so this is the environment that has been created by our pipeline. Okay, and if we do pip freeze, you can see the things have been installed, Django, Gunicon, etc. Okay, so now our first thing have been created. Right now head over to this, and what we will do is we will make Gunicon service to run. Here other things you can do after your project has been finished, like Python 3 manage.py, make migrations, and Python do and migrate as well. Okay, or collect static with no input tags, like these things we can do, and we will do it later on when we will be setting up our database. Okay, so I'm doing these things, but one thing to note here is to run this manage.py command, we have to be in this app folder, right? So we have to go to app. As you can see here, if I am in Django CI/CD folder, so let me clear these things out, and here you can see if I go to app folder, we can't run it now, so yeah, cd app, there you will find this manage.py file. Okay, so this manage.py file lives in this app folder, so that's why we have to change the directory to app folder, and then we will run these things. Then we can just print out a message for us so that we can check it later that yes, migrations have been done. Okay, so just a nice message, and then we can go back one step. So change the directory. Why I'm going back? Because we have to activate the virtual environment so that Gunicon things can be set up. So just copy paste this line, and we have to be in this file now. Yes, Django CI/CD, and but you know, before this thing we will have to create a Django socket and Django service file, sorry, Gunicon socket and Gunicon service file. What happens is this gunicon.sh depends on two things, one is socket file and one is service file. So we will be requiring these two files, and we have to put these files in our system.md folder. So what we can do is we can copy these two files that we will just create, sudo cp, and one name of the file will be gunicon.socket, and we have to copy it where in etc, in systemd and system folder, yes, this one, and we have to copy this step and repeat it for gunicon.service file. These two are fairly common files to be running, so one to be copied in this folder, and we will use this directly, and just copy paste the name of the user. We'll need this as well as the directory we are in. So this user will be Jenkins. Okay, and the directory, as you can see, we have just switched it. So now this variable will be printed, and then what we'll do is we will do our common step that we just did in this in the initial setup, this daemon reload. Okay, and start. So we will start Gunicon in this step. So we are in gunicon.sh file, we will do sudo daemon reload and sudo start Jenkins. Instead of Jenkins, we will do Gunicon. Okay, and what we can do is we can print out one more thing we can do is we can enable the Gunicon, and then we just print out a simple clear message for us, echo, and Gunicon has been started. Okay, and in the last we can print out the status as well. So status Gunicon and restart Gunicon. So this thing will just help us out to make sure that yes, Gunicon service is running fine. Now as you can see, what is happening here is we have 3 steps of the pipeline. One step is setting up the virtual environment. Second step is to set up the Gunicon, and this to set the Gunicon we require 2 files here. That is gunicon.socket file and gunicon.service file. So we will create these files here. So let's make first file, that is gunicon.socket file, and here you go. So what will this file will contain is this will contain 3 things, and I will just copy them. So let's go to Gunicon socket file. You know, DigitalOcean provided a very good blog to deploy on 20.04 setup, so on the version of Ubuntu. So we will check it out as well. So this, because we are copying pasting, you know, in this systemd and system file, that's Gunicon service, so we can use this as well as, because this is our Gunicon socket, so we will need this file, just directly copy pasting it. Okay, so first is we are making the description, that is our Gunicon socket. Then we have socket and live stream of yeah, this is very important file, that because we are listening at this you know, location, run and Gunicon sock. Then the user is www data, and the last stage install, that is sockets.target. So there you go, just save it. And the second file, as you can see, is gunicon.service, and this is very important file because we will run our workers, so Gunicon workers here. Okay, so let's make this new file, gunicon.service, and we can copy this gunicon.service, the DigitalOcean blog that I was saying. So there you go. In this DigitalOcean community tutorial, here we will find a Gunicon service file. So some people spell it like G-Unicorn, so that's on you. So let's copy paste this Gunicon service file, and this will be it. So we will having a description to run the Gunicon daemon that requires the socket that we just created here, and third is after the target, then the username. So we will change it to our user, and the our user, let's take it root for now, but don't run it on root. We will change these things in our part 3 of the video, where we will set up everything in Jenkins by Docker and Docker Compose, and then we will not run this, you know, with our privileged user like root. Okay, and you can just change it to Ubuntu, or you can create your own user. That's totally a simple step, not that much big a deal. Okay, but our working directory is not this. As you can see, working directly when we set up this file is this, right? Because our entire thing is in app folder. Okay, these things here, right? Our entire things, the manage.py and every this location, where lib Jenkins. Jump over to this Gunicon service file and change the location. This will be, yeah, where lib till app. Okay, then we have to execute the start. So again, now where Gunicon lives is this. Let's take you here in this location. Yes, this one. So we will switch the directory this, so we can do cd and there is directory, and you know, we have installed Gunicon here in requirement.txt. So definitely this G-Unicorn will lie in our environment folder like this. In env we have this bin, and here we have this Gunicon file. Okay, so this Gunicon file will be used up to run, okay, the Gunicon server. Okay, so like we have this in our local setup, we will have this same thing in here as well. So ls, so go to env, so we will be in CI/CD, then env, and then in bin. Okay, so this will be the location. I think just do again. So cd env, here you go, then cd bin, and there we have this Gunicon file, right? So what we can do is we can just copy paste this present working directory. Okay, so I'm just showing you these things because, you know, path matters a lot when you are setting a pipeline, and especially in Django deployment. Okay, so bin Gunicon, so just copy paste this line, yeah, and in the end we will need G-Unicorn as well. Okay, there you go. And we need 3 workers, fine, access log file, and then we will give the address of our log file that we created. And our log file, as you can see here, we can go 2 directories back, and if I do ls, so there is our log file here. Do we have log file? Yes, this is logs. So we will create a new log file for our gunicorn thing. That will be better. So let's take this as our present working directory as the location for the logs. So this will be our location, and just paste this. So error log file, and this will be in error.log. Here you go. Then we will have error log file. We will have workers as 3. We'll bind it to Unix run gunicorn.sock, because this thing is here, gunicorn.sock, and in our service file we'll go to my so name of the project will be, because we have app.wasg.application. Why? Because in our app we have this app, and here the wasg file lives. So this same structure is replicated in our Ubuntu server as well, right, by the Jenkins. So I think this is enough. So if we get any error, that is good, we will check it out and we'll resolve it. And we can do one more thing here, just to be sure. We can make one extra field here to capture the output, so that we can check out the logs here. To capture output and the log level, you can do add debug. Okay, and there you go. So this is for the multi-line. You can do it in one line as well. So now we have error logs, worker, binding, and this is very important step that we are giving it this location. One thing I can do it just would be, yeah, so we're binding it to this and these two things. Okay, so this thing should be in one go. There you go. So save it, and this is okay, wanted by. Now we have the Gunicorn file completely set up. So let's try if this Gunicorn runs fine, then we will set up the Nginx. So Gunicorn setup, and I'm doing this pretty quickly. Let's try to run the pipeline again. Build now, and this is your recent build. Let's go here. As you can see here, we have all the migrations applied, because we have done what is happening is in this Gunicorn.sh file, these things are running. So the migrations are there. Then this is our location, because we have printed this pwd and user thing. So this is our username is Jenkins, and this migration done command echo that we have printed. Okay, and so what we have to do is we have to use this, because what is happening right now is our user is Jenkins, and because we don't have the sudo privilege to our Jenkins user, so we have to give the password, but we are not providing the password. So that's why it was not able to run any of these things. We have to head over to this etc sudoers file. Here we'll do sudo vi sudo, and in this, if you give any error here, so this will not be saved. So because our user's name is Jenkins, so go into, just type Jenkins all equals all. There you go, and no password :all. So just save it, Command X, Control X, and yes, there you go. Now we have the sudo privilege to our user. Okay, so if I go again, you can see Jenkins, because the username is Jenkins, and we want to give for all of the files no password access. This is the idea here. And now if I again run the terminal and the pipeline here, build now, let's try to build. So this thing, since this is important, now you can see Gunicorn, I guess, is working, and yes, there you go, we have the Gunicorn active. So this is a major step here to make the Gunicorn working, and the last stage to start the Nginx. So we will be setting up the last step of our pipeline to set up the Nginx. So if I go back, so this is our pipeline. So first stage to pull the code from SCM Git, then second is to set up the virtual environment, third is to set up the Gunicorn, and the fourth is setting the Nginx, which is giving us error all the time. one thing you can do is you can so that if any of the step fails in your script like this, set E, and then the Jenkins will pass the error. Okay, now we are in the last step of Nginx, that is in this nginx.sh file. So this is a fairly easy step. So let's create this script. Then what I have to do is I can just use this thing. So go to this nginx.sh file, and here we will require two files actually. So first is this nginx.sh file and then appconf file. So let's first write down this. So we have to copy this appconf file, so like we did for Nginx service and Nginx socket. So we will do sudo rf then app.conf, and we have to copy this file from etc nginx and conf.d, and this is required by the Nginx. Then we have to change the permissions here, so give the permission and the location of the folder. You can copy the location here. This is the location, and what we can do is, there you go, and we don't need to give the folder app name. Now check the syntax if everything is right in Nginx by T. Then the same steps that we have done to start the Gunicon or Gunicon. So there you go, this thing, or I can just copy these three things here, that will be much better. So let's head over to Nginx file, and there you go. So start Nginx, then enable the Nginx, or I think because it has been already enabled by us, so we can just leave it aside. So reload, restart, and the status of Nginx, and the Nginx has been started. Yeah, there you go. So this is our Nginx file, and the last step is to set up this appconf file. Why the appconf? Because the name of our project is app. Okay, so let's go to app.conf file. Here we have to give the address and all of these things. So let's create a new file. There is appconf file, and this file directly from one of the blog of DigitalOcean that we just opened. So let's get over DigitalOcean. Yeah, so we will give listening to port 80 and server address and the location of static files, where to get the static files and without static files. So just copy this part here. This will be just copy paste here. So what we will do is, we will in the server we will listening to port 80, then we have to provide the server name. So let's get to one thing here is our server address. So because we are on Jenkins, so this is our server, because we are deploying in the same. Let's change the server IP here. This will be the IP, and we don't need to pass this. There you go, the location, and you can see we have used multiple times. The location is this. Okay, so in our appconf file, the location will be this CICD, till CICD, not till the Python application. Okay, and if the location is without static, I mean the files are directly coming, so what we'll do is, we will need the proxy pass to Gunicon sock that we have set up in this Gunicon sock file. Okay, I think this one. Okay, Gunicon socket. So this thing, so we are linking this socket with our Nginx file here. There you go. So I think every other thing is fairly simple. One thing you can do is here extra is to set up the error logs. If we get error, so error log here, and the location, simple, and because we have the logs folder there, so logs and error.log. There you go, and same for access log, same file in the logs folder, and access.log. That's it. So this is our appconf file. Now we have everything set up, so let's try if everything works fine for us. One thing we have to check if our settings file is configured right or not. So you can see here the allowed hosts are not present right now. So for now I'm giving a start. You can write the address as well, okay, or the domain name, and I'm making the debug equal to true, so that if we can get error, we should see the error. Okay, this is just a idea to give you. This is not production ready deployment. Okay, so we'll go to production ready deployment in next few videos. So this will be our setup in Nginx. Commit, so just save all and commit and push. Now we will run the pipeline again for Nginx. So let's do it once again. So what's happening here is, let's open the console output. We have activated the Gunicon and it is saying no such file as this. Okay, at etc Nginx. So I guess Nginx has not been installed on our server. Apt get install Nginx. There you go. And since Nginx was not there, so it was not able to locate the etc Nginx file. Now we have installed it, we will enable it, and then we will start the Nginx. Then sudo system ctl start Nginx. There you go, and enable. Okay, and so I think this is fine. If we check the status, so okay, it is active. This CI/CD pipeline build now. So our pipeline is running and the Nginx has been updated. So what we can do is we can go to this address to check if everything is okay. So it is saying yes, Nginx is working fine, and if I go to admin page, it is saying not found. Okay, so now we have to check why Django page is not loading right now. Okay, our Nginx is not connecting itself with Gunicon, and the default page of Nginx is loading. So one of the reason is that Nginx have site enabled and site. If we see here, I'm in etc/Nginx. So let's do ls here. So we have two types of sites there, the sites enabled and sites available. So we have to make sure that our site is available in sites enabled, and then we link it to site enabled. Okay, so let's so we can see it here. So first we create our app in etc Nginx sites enabled available, and then we link this thing with site enabled. Okay, so by this ln. So let's do it also. So in our, what we will do is actually what I was trying to do is I was directly making the file. So instead of it, we will make little different thing here. So let's do it now. You can see here is we are making this our app.conf file that we just created, app.conf file in this location. Then everything is same. Then we will link this site enabled app file to site available file to site enable file. Okay, app.conf file will remain as it is, and we are just changing this thing with in nginx.sh. okay, so let's do it again. So we will commit this change. So we can say nginx site enable directory, and then we will commit it, and once build the pipeline again. So let's trigger it again. Let's go to now. As you can see here, Nginx has been started and it is active, as well as our Gunicorn is also active. So what you can do is we can just directly go to this IP. So we can take the IP from here, since this is our security group. So let's go to EC2 running instance, this one and this. So there you go, and here you go. So now our Django page is loading, hence we have successfully deployed our application via Jenkins. So this was a simple setup. We have not done that much here, that we will do later on. Like we will build this with code deploy, and we'll connect it, and we will make a build and we'll deploy it on the S3 bucket, and then we will take a pull from here. So till now, what is now? I might give you some suggestions regarding making this as production ready. So how to do so is, you have to make one thing here is, this user should not be this user should be very protected from this port, right? Second is, so, and then you provide the label by going to configure, not this, but configuring the Jenkins. So let me go to Jenkins, manage Jenkins, and here you find this where it is, yeah, this nodes and plug, and then you can make a new node here like this. And once we put a label here, this in your Jenkins file. So now here you can give the location where you want to set. Okay, so that will be like something like this node, then there will come label and directory. So instead of going to this folder, as you have seen, instead of going to this folder by default, it will go to the folder you mentioned. Second, do not use the root user, that is also required. Okay, sometimes the one thing that is required is, if I go to vim nginx.conf, here I have provided root user is equal to root. So because by default it is www data, sometimes it might not run, so you can try to change it to root. Okay, and that's it for this part. Later on, what we will do is, we will do one more thing about setting up the Postgres on it, and then we will do setting up serving the static files as well from here, and that will be a quite simple step, not that big of a deal, because already we have made this static file. So it is just that you have to make some changes in settings.py, the basic changes that we do in URLs file, adding something in settings file, adding static roots, etc., and then just running one command in, I guess we are running in this, yes. So I can just copy paste here and do collect static. Okay, with no input. Okay, so this is one approach, observing the application in a production ready environment. Then the things comes like making it, don't run it in T2 micro, so that might not be enough. So let's I will see you in second part of this video, where we'll go a little bit deeper into setting up the static files and database part, and then Docker part.